Mia had always believed that if she worked hard enough, she could change her circumstances. Life hadn't been easy. Balancing 2 part-time jobs while being a full-time college student meant little sleep, skipped meals, and endless stress. But for Mia, quitting wasn't an option. Her mom had raised her on her own, working double shifts to provide for her. Now, with mounting medical bills and a dwindling savings account, her mom relied on Mia more than ever. Mia often sent money home to cover grocery bills, and every dollar she earned had a purpose. As her shift ended at the small diner where she worked, Mia grabbed her bag and hurried to catch the subway. Her mind was racing. Rent was due in 2 days, and she'd finally saved enough to pay it. She also needed to cover groceries for the week, and with finals approaching, her textbooks still sat unopened. The subway was packed with tired commuters. Mia clutched her bag tightly as she jostled into the car. The doors closed, and she leaned against the wall, eyes heavy with exhaustion. She didn't notice the man standing too close, or the subtle tug at her bag. When Mia reached her stop, she stepped out, ready to grab a coffee and catch up on assignments. But when she reached into her bag to pay, her heart sank. Her wallet was gone. Panic set in as Mia checked every corner of her bag, even though she knew it wasn't there. She dumped everything onto the counter at the coffee shop, ignoring the judgmental glances of people in line behind her. It wasn't just her ID or the few dollars for coffee. Her rent money was gone. Every penny she had saved to keep a roof over her head was in that wallet. Her breathing quickened as the weight of the situation hit her. She rushed back to the subway station, hoping maybe someone had turned it in. She retraced her steps, checked lost and found, and even asked the station attendants if they'd seen anything. But there was nothing. Defeated, she trudged home to her tiny 1-bedroom apartment. The walls felt like they were closing in on her. Rent was due in 2 days, and she had no idea how she would pay it. A text from her landlord popped up. "Hi, Mia. Just a reminder that rent is due Friday. Please don't be late this time." She sat on the edge of her bed, tears streaming down her face. She called her mom, but the last thing she wanted to do was burden her. Mia's voice cracked as she tried to sound calm. "Hey, Mom, just checking in. How are you feeling?" Her mom didn't suspect anything. Mia promised to visit soon, but as she hung up the phone, she felt more alone than ever. The next morning, Mia went to the police station. She filed a report, but the officer's sympathetic look told her everything she needed to know. Her wallet was gone, and there was little hope of getting it back. At work later that day, Mia struggled to focus. She smiled at customers and took orders, but her mind was elsewhere. She thought about asking for an advance, but she knew her boss wouldn't approve it. As she cleared tables, one of the regulars, Mr. Willis, noticed something was off. He was an older man who always came in for his coffee and a slice of pie. "You okay, kiddo? You look like the weight of the world is on your shoulders," he said, sliding his plate toward her. Mia forced a smile. "Just a long day, Mr. Willis. I'm fine." When he left, Mia noticed he had left a $100 tip on his $12 bill. She stared at the money, her eyes filling with tears. Later that night, as Mia was finishing her shift, she noticed an envelope on the counter with her name scrawled on it. There was no return address, no indication of who had left it. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Inside was a simple note. "Kindness has a way of finding its way back to those who show it. Keep pushing forward. The world needs people like you. P.S. Check the bank tomorrow." Mia's first instinct was disbelief. Who would leave this for her? It had to be a mistake. But the note was so specific. She read it over and over, trying to make sense of it. The next morning, curiosity got the better of her. She went to the bank, still not expecting much. When she stepped up to the counter, she handed the teller her account details and braced herself for bad news. The teller glanced at her screen, then looked up with a smile. "Ms. Carter, it seems someone made an anonymous deposit into your account yesterday. You've got $5,000 available." Mia's knees nearly gave out. She blinked at the teller, convinced she had misheard. "I'm sorry. What?" she whispered. $5,000, the teller repeated. "It came through yesterday. There's no name attached, but there's a note in the transfer record. It says, 'Keep pushing forward.'" Tears streamed down Mia's face. She didn't know who had done this or why, but it felt like a miracle. Her mind raced. Was it Mr. Willis, one of her professors, a classmate who knew she was struggling? No matter who it was, Mia knew one thing. This money wasn't just a lifeline. It was hope. Mia used the money to pay her rent, cover her tuition for the next semester, and even set aside some for her mom's medical bills. For the first time in months, she could breathe. But the money wasn't the only thing that changed her life. The note stayed with her. It reminded her that even in the darkest moments, kindness could light the way. Over the next few weeks, Mia found herself looking for ways to pay it forward. She started small, buying coffee for the next person in line, leaving encouraging notes for her classmates, and volunteering at a local shelter on weekends. She didn't know if she would ever find out who helped her, but she realized it didn't matter. What mattered was keeping the cycle of kindness going. Years later, as Mia graduated from college and started her career, she never forgot that moment. She became a mentor for students who were struggling financially, helping them find resources and opportunities. And every time she saw someone in need, she remembered the note. Kindness has a way of finding its way back to those who show it. Mia's life wasn't perfect, but it was filled with purpose. She had learned that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness could create the biggest changes. In a world that can often feel overwhelming, remember this: you never know how much your kindness might mean to someone. Be the light that helps someone find their way.